I made it. Finally. After all these years of hardship. After everything they told me. I will show them that even I can be the best player.
Blood Bowl! Imperial nobility intends to prove its superiority on the field. Money rules the world, and Blood Bowl is no exception. Some rich nobles, dynamic entrepreneurs, and crime bosses see the sport as ideal cover for tax evasion. Some even create their own teams to fulfill their dreams of fame. Sporting luxuriant feathers and gleaming armor, the Imperial nobility has access to practically unlimited funds for scooping up the best coaches, the best equipment, and of course, the best players in the game. All this makes them a formidable force in the world of Blood Bowl. The Imperial nobility's team mainly consists of human players, but they often also include an ogre for his outrageous hitting power and ability to clear the field. Welcome to the Imperial nobility's team's presentation video. The Imperial nobility primarily relies on its aggressive defense and swift counterattacks. Bodyguards and linemen create a solid defensive line, acting like a wall to stop your opponents. The ogre's hitting power serves both defensive and offensive play by creating spaces on the field for your players to take advantage of. Counterattacks rely on blitzers and throwers working in tandem. There are 5 types of players in the Imperial nobility's teams. Imperial Retainer Linemen. These players are the foundation of your team. They enable you to create an effective line of defense in midfield. Imperial Throwers. Thanks to their passing skills, these versatile players are able to execute complex phases of play with ease. Noble Blitzers. Equally at ease, breaking through offensive lines as picking up the ball, blitzers are sure to prove crucial to your strategy. Bodyguards, your opponent's worst nightmares. They stand firm when tackled and are no less formidable in attack. And finally, the Ogre. The Ogre is a veritable machine when you want to add more muscle to your game. He can sweep the field clean, making room for your blitzers, and when working hand in hand with the bodyguards, he can really make the opposing coach sweat. On recruitment, each member of your team has several traits and skills that will give you the edge over your opponents. Let's take a moment to analyze them. The Imperial Retainer Linemen have the primary Fend skill, which allows them to prevent opposing players from following them after a block. The Imperial Throwers have 2 skills, Pass, which allows them to re-roll a failed passing capacity test, and Running Pass, which allows them to move after a quick pass if they have any movement left. In addition to their armor and movement, Noble Blitzers have 2 skills that are certain to make their opponents quake. The Block skill allows them to ignore a both down result during a block declaration. and the catch skill allows them to re-roll a failed agility test when trying to catch a ball. Bodyguards also have 2 skills: Stand Firm, which prevents them from being pushed back by an opponent after a block declaration, and Wrestle, which allows your player to avoid injury and a turnover on a both down result. The Ogre's Mighty Blow allows him to modify an armor or injury roll when tackling an opponent. His Thick Skull allows him to transform a KO into a simple stunned result when he's tackled. However, his traits can work against him. The Ogre's traits make him an unpredictable player. Bonehead means you have to roll the dice every time you declare an action for the player, and the result decides whether your Ogre plays on or forgets what he's supposed to be doing for good. Blitzers are indispensable team members because of both their physical attributes and their ability to catch the ball, but they are very expensive to recruit, and you can only have 2 on your team. As such valuable players, they make prime targets for your opponents. In general, team rerolls will cost you more than the other teams, limiting your ability to control dice rolls.
Orcs are the strongest and most powerful of all the orcs. Many believe their name comes from their dark green skin, but it is more likely to have come from their dour demeanor and bleak sense of humor. Their crushing, superior physical strength means that black orcs have always seen the other greenskins as little more than frivolous amateurs, which is why they've formed their own teams. They are grim and incredibly bloodthirsty, but black orcs aren't stupid, which makes them all the more formidable. There are many goblins on the Black Orcs team. Goblins' great speed and agility are indispensable assets on the field. The team also includes a troll whose stupidity is only matched by their voracious appetite for violence. Trolls' brute force can be invaluable in certain situations. Welcome to the Black Orcs team presentation video. The Black Orcs team's main strategy is brute force. The harder you hit, the more likely you are to finish the game with more players. You'll never get the ball by trying to compete with a catcher running at full speed, but even if you can't catch him, you can always crush him with another player. Be methodical, dismember the opposing side, and take possession of the field. Your appalling passing game will never let you dominate, but you'll find that goblins make solid ball carriers, providing you give them the protection they need to move up the field. The cage technique has been a very successful strategy. 1 goblin carries the ball and is protected by 4 black orcs. They move forward as a single block, clearing the field and scoring points. There are 3 types of players on the Black Orcs team. Black Orcs, powerful, resilient players. Their main role is to crush the opposing side. Their armor means that they can withstand blows and stay in the match. Goblins, relatively weak but inexpensive players, so you can recruit plenty for substitutions. Goblin numbers will give you a continued advantage on the field if players are injured. Goblin's main role is to provide support and pick up the ball and run it into the end zone to score a touchdown. Trolls. The troll is the team's muscle, and they bring hitting power and force. A troll can be a heavyweight ally, providing their teammates can stop them from losing their cool. From the outset, each of your team members has several characteristics and skills that can give you an advantage over your opponents. Let's take a moment to analyze them. Black Orcs have 2 skills. The Brawler skill allows the Orc to re-roll a die when declaring a block to try to avoid a double KO, which is synonymous with a turnover. The Grab skill enables you to move an opposing player in any direction during a block. This can hamper the opposing team's movements, free a teammate from a tackle zone, or isolate an opposing player in a group of your own players. You can also easily throw an opposing player off the field, and he might stay off for some time. Goblins are weak but inexpensive, providing a plentiful supply of substitutes on the field and allowing you to keep a numbers advantage at the end of the match, once your Black Orcs have swept through the opposing team. On the Black Orcs teams, Goblins' key skill is their Thick Skull, which means that they can withstand more damage than goblins on other teams, but that doesn't mean they can stand up to your opponents. Their stunty characteristic makes them hard to block, while their speed and agility enables them to slip between players on the opposing team. Trolls can throw goblins to move them up the field or take out an opponent. The Troll's new projectile vomit skill can wreak serious damage on an opposing player. But just like the rest of the Trolls moveset, it can quickly backfire on you. Trolls can be very unpredictable because their really stupid skill means that every action requires a throw of the die. So when Trolls mess up, they may at best refuse to move, but at worst, they could injure themselves or a teammate. Always keep an ally on the Troll's field of action who can keep him in check and reduce his chances of messing up. There are just 3 different characters on your team. You have no real throwers, and the Orcs and the Troll are seriously lacking in movement allowance. So the Goblins are indispensable for balancing the team, which makes them a primary target for opposing teams. The Black Orcs Goblins may be more resilient than most, but it is still hard for them to withstand blocks. As you can see, Goblins are important for keeping an advantage of numbers on the field and for scoring touchdowns. Make sure you recruit enough of them.
Ah, something's happening at last. Oh dear, how disappointing.
What chaos! I love it.
For more information on Blood Bowl 3 and to make sure you don't miss the latest news, join us on social media. See you on the field.